Hey, are you interested in learning how to be your own bank? We say you can be a customer of the bank or you can be the bank. So I just want to recognize the sponsor of this show, my firm, Practical Wealth Solutions. And so we help people set up privatized banking systems so that we can get interest moving towards you rather than away from you. So if you want to set up your infinite banking policy up properly, right? We use properly structured dividend paying whole life as a place to store cash. And you want access to a coach that will show you how to integrate this into your investing, to expand your business, to protect your capital from market downturns, taxes, predators and creditors. What I want to do is I want you to go to practicalwealthsolutions.net. Go to the bottom. We're going to send you a little mini course on banking, and then you can reach out to us. Or, if you already know you want to do it, you can go right to the set up a strategy session with one of the coaches, and we will get you on the path to be in the bank. Enjoy the show.
When we get through working with them, after I went through our process, they've got freedom. Mm-hmm. And that I just tell business owners that, I know that you're successful. I know that you've at your level of success, you've probably got 3 or 4 agents, 3 or 4 reps or advisors that are helping you. And you got teams of specialists, but that there's still several areas that nobody's really working in. That's just my experience.
Yeah.
As business owners, they just don't have a team that really is focused like my business partner, Matt Kennedy, and I. We have a company called ThirdBox Advisors. Mm-hmm. Matt's been doing this almost as long as I have, and shares a passion for helping business owners find the money that they're losing unknowingly and unnecessarily.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Brent Turner, from Tennessee and Montana. We'll figure out where he's at. I think it's in Montana. And
I'm out west today.
Okay, he's out west. He called me, wow, what time zone are you in? He's like, he's in Mountain Time. So we're and so just give that little backstory. So we're both where were we at? We went through a master mentor program together.
We did.
First time, what,
2019?
19, so, right? Yeah. And then we had a little study group with a few of us. And so I ran into Brent again in July. I'm going to date
last
this.
Month at a conference.
Yeah, last month, Orlando, in a conference. And he spoke, and then we were speaking about, what his firm does with business owners. I was like, I like that. We need to have a conversation about that. So this talk is for business owners, or, so saying that, right, you all are business owners, okay, but, you should be thinking of entrepreneurially, to quote my friend Kim Butler, but right now we're talking to business owners because planning is different for, I'm going to say it us, is. Right? And typical advice doesn't really serve us. And so, we're going to talk about what he calls checking the third box. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, 2, 3, 4 ways that we're going to help you find money that you're losing unknowingly, unnecessarily. Brent, tell them about yourself, and then welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
Sure. Thanks for having me on your show, Curtis. I started my business 32 years ago, right out of college. And I was in the insurance space. Mm-hmm. And I loved helping people, do what they were wanting to do with their finances. And I got securities licensed in the early 90s, and And I actually just recently completely dissolved myself of all the securities regulation, and I'm no longer a registered investment advisory firm, and so that has just been so 30 years was long enough with that industry for me.
That's a freeing thing. I think I
Oh
let
my
mine
gracious,
go in
it's
2003, so I haven't been registered since 2003. So.
oh, I mean, and it's just such a it is a freeing experience because I loved helping clients, with their finances, but the managing money part of it to me was just not fun, and it wasn't fulfilling for me at all. But in that 30 years of experience working with how learning how things work in the financial world and working with business owners, I just kind of decided, I want to build a business that works like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always enjoyed, I've been really loved working with entrepreneurs and individuals who have built something. They've taken their passion and built a business around it. It didn't intend to be as big as it currently is.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't intend for it to be as successful. They never dreamed that. They were just trying to get through payroll on Friday, building their business or building their product or getting it out the door or creating a better service. And so those people I really enjoy working with, because when we get through working with them, after I went through our process, they've got freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And that I just tell business owners that, I know that you're successful. I know that you've at your level of success, you've probably got 3 or 4 agents, 3 or 4 reps or advisors that are helping you. And you got teams of specialists, but that there's still several areas that nobody's really working in. That's just my experience.
Yeah.
As business owners, they just don't have a team that really is focused like my business partner, Matt Kennedy, and we have a company called ThirdBox Advisors. Mm-hmm. Matt's been doing this almost as long as I have, and shares a passion for helping business owners find the money that they're losing unknowingly and unnecessarily. And unknowingly means that you didn't know. You just didn't know that you were going to be losing money. And unnecessarily means that it can be stopped.
Right.
And then been brought back into your financial life. And we've typically, for a business owner, we find millions of dollars that are leaving them. And that's what's fun, is when you can take their numbers and put them on their screen and say, all right, here's where this is going away from you. And all these other items are causing collateral damage.
Right.
That you just didn't know. And most advisors in the financial space are dealing in one of 2 boxes. They're either going to them and say, hey, I've got a better price, I'm cheaper,
right,
or I've got a better product, my product is better. And that's their only 2 boxes. And so we've actually created this 3rd box,
right,
that helps people find the money that they're losing unknowingly and unnecessarily.
And so that's huge, right? Because we, our mutual mentor, Don Blanton, says, listen, there's more opportunity in minimizing the losses than is trying to pick the winners, right?
Absolutely.
And because the only way to grow most people think the key to growing their wealth is to find better investors that pay a higher rate of return.
Right.
The only way to do that is to take more risk, right? And risk doesn't mean opportunity for gain. It means probability of loss, right? So let's
exactly.
So as our mentor would say, don't hurry to a whooping. Right? So go ahead. So so it's like both these things, because we are both cut from the same tree. So we are. It is so funny not talking to you about this stuff, because it's so brilliant that you could that we're the creativity of advisors of art. We're hearing the same thing, and just the whole idea of, okay, look, we're going to help you. There's a 3rd box, door number 3 that nobody told you about, and you're losing money, millions of dollars. So elaborate on that. All right, I just wanted to.
Sure.
You inspired me. I had to jump in there.
That's fine. That's great. So Matt really specializes in the medical space. He's created a specialty of doing this kind of work for the dental space, and works with dentists and does a phenomenal job. And he knows the insides and outs of a dental practice probably as good as any consultant out there. And then works with those guys to find the money in their practice that they're losing, and then bring it back. And so business owners I've never seen a business go down that had plenty of cash.
Right.
You know, I mean, you think about what causes business owners indigestion, and it's cash flow.
Cash flow. Yep.
I mean, it's because if I remember at certain points in my career that I just dreaded Sunday nights, because I'd lay there on Sunday night going, tomorrow's Monday, I got to go do that again. Because, you know, early in your career, you're just trying to make a living, and you're stressed about what? Cash flow.
Cash flow.
And business owners, we're all cut, as you say, from the same cloth. And business owners are you know, that's one of those things that just kind of, it causes them unrest. And so when we work with, you know, when we work with business owners, what's causing the drain in cash flow? Stuff costs too much, they're spending too much, or there's collateral damage coming in from somewhere else. And so Matt and I are kind of trained specifically to find those dollars. And it's you know, once you find it, it's pretty easy to stop. And so, you know, with your training in the other areas of your practice, you know, you've seen how, you know, that if it comes back to cash flow a lot of times. And
I mean, most wealth is lost
to
by
capital.
Most wealth is lost most losses occur in how people manage or don't manage cash flow, you know. And so one of the things that we do, you know, if you watch on our videos, we talk about the personal economic model. So actually, Brent, I spend a lot of time on the lifestyle regulator. To me, the game is one of the laws right there. You know, with cash flow management is like, look, you know, we call it telling your money where to go instead of asking where it went. And so, you know, we break that down, and that's not even the transfers, right? That's just, hey, what's coming in, what's going out? Are you aware? And now we're coming to the good stuff that Brent is talking about. Like, once you do that, then what are you losing?
Yeah, most business owners make, as our mentor says, it costs a lot of money to live inside.
Right.
And so most people make a financial decision based upon their house. You know, where they live, where they spend their time inside, and they choose a mortgage, whether it's a 15-year or a 30-year or an adjustable or whatever. They set up a business, you know, set up that payment schedule, and then they compartmentalize that, and then they move on.
Right.
Then they start talking about retirement, and so, okay, well, somebody says I need to do a SEP, and I'm putting money over here in this retirement plan or this profit sharing plan or whatever, and they make a decision, and then they move on. And then they run into, you know, we got to buy equipment for the business or expansion or whatever. And they make these decisions in these silos as if they were not connected. And so at the end of the day, what you find is that there's collateral damage that's kind of bleeding across from each one of those areas. And there's money that you'll be losing. And so that's what Matt and I are really trying to do. And that's the reason our company, ThirdBox Advisors, is taking off so strong, is because it resonates with people. It resonates with business owners. And then being able to quantify right there in front of them on their screen with their numbers, what is that exactly? What is that damage?
Right.
And so, I mean, we worked with a guy last week. I'll give you just for example of collateral damage that he didn't realize it had. A very successful business, and he had he liked to pay cash. He liked to be able to not have debt, and so he had a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines. And so that's great. I said, what kind of rate of return are we getting on those assets? Well, about 1.5%. And so the next question is, Are you having to pay taxes on those dollars? At the end of the year, do you get a 1099 for that growth at 1.5% growth? Yeah. Well, are you taking money out of that account to pay your taxes with? Well, no, I'm just paying it out of, quote, our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's 1%. Well, what if he had an opportunity to get more than 1%? I mean, that's actually this past year's lost what, 22%?
Right.
Inflation. So if he had those assets sitting somewhere else, let's just say we got 5%. And when you lose a dollar, when you trade it from your balance sheet to someone else's balance sheet,
Mm-hmm.
how long is it over there? With
It's
someone else's balance sheet?
forever.
Forever.
Right.
So if you could have earned 5% on those dollars, but yet you had it sitting in the balance sheet of a bank, when do you get when do you get the rest back? Never.
Never.
So it's gone.
Go there
it's
for a
not,
second, because they never
Sure.
see, because they never teach opportunity cost in personal finance or
Right.
business finance. And so what he's alluding to is that, I'll say this. So let's take the rule of 72. Now, people that use it say it wrong, but let's use it in the, let's say you could get, just to make up a number, 6%. That means if you divide 6% into 72, right? 7%, 7%.
Well,
it will double, 12 times, right? So,
Mhm.
or 7, 10 times, right? So that means if you could get that, when you transfer it to the bank, they're earning that. So that means if it was 20,000, your 20 would be 40, your 40 would be 80, your 80 would be 160, infinitely out. You're
Exactly.
spiraling out, and it's leaving you, but you don't see it. We talk about the seen and the unseen from, what's that book? Economics in One Lesson. And that's the unseen, but that's a real thing that you're not accounting for. That's so true. That's so awesome.
Well, it was this particular example, the lost opportunity cost. We actually figured that right there in front of him as well.
Mm.
His numbers, we're not making anything up.
Right.
But in that one move, the taxes, because every year as it's compounding by 1.5% or whatever it was, your taxes are going up as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because your dividend is based on the asset that's earning interest, and so not your account. You love seeing your account grow, but at the same time, you never see this tax bill is growing as well.
Right.
And
Talk
so
about that. Or the fees.
we absolutely. Well, I mean, just more cost. I mean,
Right.
you're having to pay 1099 dividend interest cost.
Right.
So in this one move, this guy was late 50s. By the time he was 90, if he continued that path, it was a $2 million transfer.
Wow.
$2 million that he was going to lose unknowingly and unnecessarily. Thought he was doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Because he loved having cash. But that's collateral damage at its finest that you just didn't realize was happening or taking place.
I remember we were talking about this, and when we were in Florida, and I'm, what now? And I had to we had to talk about it a couple of times, and it. I never looked at it in the aggregate like that.
Yeah. And
that is so true of what you're talking about. So please continue. Let's keep breaking this down for our
it's very typical. And I see, those are, business owners, going back to my first statement, I've never seen a business fail that had good cash flow. And they keep money on hand serving one purpose. It's just, I need access to capital. Mm-hmm. Well, there's probably better places to store your capital than sitting there at 1.5%. And that's where business owners, I think, that peace of mind that comes on Sunday night when you go, oh, there's a lot of things going to happen this week, but nothing that me and the good Lord and a bank full of cash can't fix.
Right. That's right.
So that's
Access to capital solves a lot of problems.
it really does. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, having access to capital in the correct place. This
Right.
guy has access to capital, but it's costing him $2 million to have it there over
Right.
his lifetime.
Right. Right.
And
So he's got the first part down. He would have what Don would say a tank issue, right? He's
Yes.
storing it in the wrong location.
In the wrong tank. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So you know what, when you're working with business owners, what do you see as issues that could commonly be fixed?
Yeah, I mean, so when I look at their numbers, I'll go like, so for example, I'm going through a person now. This is a little bit more to specific to, well, not specific to what we do, but there is lack of access to capital. It's commingling, not doing a good job of what I call paying themselves first, kind of like the profit first mindset.
Oh yeah, I love that model.
And so where I do it, right? And so I've got a service we call it cash flow mapping, where we do that for people. So I'm working with a electrical contractor right now, and we've been on that. Just okay, let's separate church and state. You've got real estate, you've got your business. You know, how much does your life cost? Okay, and then how much, do you need to be setting aside to cover your profit, the fees, and to pay your guys, right? Just looking at that kind of stuff. So just not knowing where to go. And then there's a lot of money. So we're going through that. And then there's a lot of money sitting where it's not making any money. So because he needs that liquidity. And so he has a tank issue. So I find that they're, underinsured in certain areas, no umbrella coverages, no just what I call playing defense, max. We call it maximum protection. I told you, look, I'm the defensive coordinator, right? So underinsured, because one of the things, Brent, I say is, look, your financial plan, quote unquote, precedes the business plan or the investment plan, right? Because what do you want and why? And now we're organizing, because if you want to create maximum wealth, to your point, you have to create maximum efficiency. You got to stop giving money away. And so I walked them through. I see that. I see the taxes and cash flow. So number one is cash flow management. I'm telling you, that's what I've been seeing, right?
Yeah.
Then we look at taxes, right, and how they fund qualified plans, because they get all of this. Like if you go to like a typical, Edward Jones, or not to call them out, just to name people that people know, their job is to sell you mutual funds, right? So they want to send money.
Box one, box two.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so they want to send money away from you, right?
That's right.
Where Brett and I both believe, listen, if you put $1 in your business, you make $2, that's 100% return, right? So you don't, so just invest in your business. Like I read the book. I read both books, the dental book, right?
Oh yeah,
so if you
best books, yes.
So if you can get better at your thing, you can make more money. And then so that's one, right? And then two, you need to stop losing money unknowingly, unnecessarily. And that's so right. That. So I'm actually doing another thing where I'm good at business development also. And so I'm starting that, this year, because I've had to fix it for my business, right? So, and when I talk to business owners, it's like, y'all don't know this, right? And so I mentioned
that's a great development
from heaven. Yeah.
I think it's a great development, especially, I mean, in my 30-something years of doing this, I've seen the playing field change.
Yeah.
And I think now you go, hey, I'm getting ready to sell my business in 7 years. There's actually teams out there now that come in and create value inside your business. If you decide to sell it, it's worth a whole lot more, because now you can quantify, your multiple factor,
right?
Or you keep it, you got more money,
right?
You built a more efficient business,
and so, without you, right? You have to make yourself what's the word? Replaceable, right? Like you're not doing all the work, because if you're still doing all the work, nobody wants to buy that. That's more like
you are the
business, right? So when you leave, everybody's leaving because you're the talent, and it doesn't work without you.
And I think that's a neat transition. I think it's been a development that there's, and I love entrepreneurs. I just love their spirit, because they're I don't want to use the word, no, I like to use the word risk takers, because that's not true. You ever done strategic coach?
No, but I
No.
know as much about it as anybody that's not in it.
Yeah,
Read
well,
all-
well, that's good. I mean, it's
right.
common sense stuff. Dan Sullivan's a genius in that
Yeah, I've got
stuff. But,
all Dan's books. Right.
oh, I just entrepreneurs they see something and then they go do it. It doesn't mean they're necessarily risk takers. It just
Right.
sees they see opportunity and they feel a purpose for that.
And then
So,
they work at minimizing risks, right? So they're
yeah.
not jumping out of a perfectly good airplane without a parachute. You know,
Right.
right, because as your knowledge goes up, your risk comes down, right? So to me, a job is risky, right? Because you can get fired for one or two reasons, any reason or no reason at all. Right?
Yeah, I remember that somewhere along the way, somebody said, "There's two words between you and the street. You're fired."
Right,
And
right.
and so if you're an entrepreneur, that you're fired means that you don't have cash flow.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I think here's another area that I see business owners that are just misinformed. I think, and this is, I was talking about first time about silos. You make a decision on your house and go to your retirement plan, and go to your equipment purchase, and on down the line of different things, and you don't really have the backstory. And I like to use the term letting the cat out of the bag. You know where that came from?
No.
Letting the cat out of the bag was way back there. I mean, centuries ago. And somebody would go to the market and would be wanting to buy a piglet at the marketplace. And they put it in a burlap sack, and they got home, Well, and you got home and you thought you bought a pig, and you opened up the bag and there's a cat. So somebody told you at the beginning that you were getting a pig to go home to your farm, but you got home and they put a barn cat in. So what you thought you were getting, you really didn't get, but you didn't know till you got home. And so I think that a lot of times with business owners, they're taught to by their quote tax advisors to store money in a place that gets them a tax deduction, because at the end of the year they go, "Oh my gosh, I made so much money last year. What do I do, Mr. Accountant?" "Oh, well, you need to open up a SEP, or you need to open up a 401k or whatever.
Yeah,
You need to put $50,000 over here, and that'll help you on your taxes." And it's, "Oh, okay, great." But when you analyze that and you go, "I just wrote a $50,000 check that I did not want to write,
right,
to keep from writing a $10,000 check." And so they do that every year and every year and every year. And they're so excited because they've got all this money sitting in their qualified plan. So then they come to us at 65 or whatever, and they just sold their business, and now they want to start an income stream out of that. And you go, "Oh my goodness, you've got a couple $1 million sitting over here that's not yours." And they go, "Oh, heck, yes, it is too. I've been putting it in there for 20 years.
right. Here's my statement. Joe.
Yeah, here's mine. Okay, well, great. Well, where does that hit the tax return? It's called IRA distributions.
Right.
And so is that taxable? 100% of those dollars are taxable. And the government even enforces that, to have to require you to take those out. And but here's the collateral damage. So the myth is that you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. You better not be in a lower tax bracket, which means your lifestyle's down.
Right.
And
you're poor or poorer.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you're starting these distributions, which
Wait,
are
so Brent, my taxes don't go down because I turned 65?
If you don't have any money,
right,
or income.
But it doesn't go down just because you hit an age, right? So I
But
can't tell
here's
you how
the
many
other
people
thing.
think that, right? Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's an eye-opening experience for some. But you've got these other factors that are coming into there. So I'll give you, for example, your Social Security. Social Security is not taxable except in the presence of other income. So as that Social Security hits the tax return, Here comes your qualified plan, your 401k, your SEP that you set up. So now that distribution from your retirement plan is causing your Social Security to become taxable.
Wow.
So now you've got your Social Security being taxed at the top 85%. They give you 15% tax free, but the other 85% is taxed as ordinary income.
Mm-hmm.
Got a provisional income taxation calculation that has to go through there. But so what else is happening? So now you're 65 and you're on Medicare, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much does your Medicare supplement cost? It's based upon your income, correct?
Yeah.
So now that qualified plan is causing your Social Security to become fully taxable, and it's causing your Medicare tax to go up. So you just created, it could be close to a $9,000 or $10,000 increase in cost just because of where the income was coming from. So that qualified plan money, if you look at the backstory of that, if you're able to actually win early on, and Matt and I use what's called the virtual lab, our financial MRI, which means that we can take a 360-degree look at your finances early, right now, and we can determine into the future what's going to happen with your, how do different items hit the tax return and cause unnecessary impact. Unnecessary means that you can stop it. So that's what's neat about the financial MRI is that it's a virtual lab. I love to tell the story. I'm a race fan. I grew up in the South. I love car racing and always have, and follow the Earnhardt family because I give you this quick story about Atlanta Motor Speedway. Atlanta Motor Speedway was wanting to change the turn radius in turns 1 and 2 at the Speedway, and so they built it in a virtual lab, and they sent it to Dale Jr. and some of his buddies means they could race it in a lab before they ever, if they were going to shorten the front stretch by 40 feet and increase the banking from 8 degrees to 12 degrees, they could put that in the virtual lab and see how the cars would race before they ever put a bulldozer on the site.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, that they could, and those guys racing those simulations could say, hey, it doesn't work right here. Something not going on, or man, this is fast, it's perfect. That's what we're able to do in your finances with the, we can look at these things before we ever do anything and find the money that you're losing unknowingly,
right?
Necessarily, and then bring it back into your financial life, often on a tax-free basis. So it's that's the value that we create, and that's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That is fun. Well, go back. I want you to clarify something. So when you said they pay $50,000, that means funding their SEP or wherever they put money in to avoid writing a $10,000 check. Clarify that a little bit. What do you mean?
Sure. So if you were, it's a tax rate issue. So if you're in a 20% tax rate and if you didn't write that check to your SEP, if you didn't write that $50,000 check, you're going to pay an extra $10,000 in tax. Okay. So if you do write the $50,000 check, then you've saved yourself 10, right?
Right.
Let's just go another step with that scenario. And I think this is where business owners are starting to kind of wake up to this story or this insinuation that you're going to be better off. So you've taken $50,000 out of your business and you've moved it over here. Can you ever go back and get that? Can you use that tomorrow?
No.
No. And when can you use it? When
you're 60?
Without 9.5.
Right. 9.5.
But then, if you do get if you get growth on that, you've just taken a tax bill that was $10,000 and now it's something exponentially larger than that. And so I don't think when business owners realize they have options on that, they don't choose that one often.
Because the tax preparers, CPA, they're so infatuated with being a hero today. Okay, you owe this, let's move this money to here. And now I've cut your taxes, but they don't look at it. And what we try to do, you and I try to do, is help people look at it over their lifetime. We want to lower your overall taxes, because qualified plans, we say, do two things, right? They defer taxes, or what's the more accurate word? Postpone. Right. And they defer the calculation of those taxes. Right. And so it's like that old saying, if I was a farmer, would you rather get taxed on the seed and wait, what was it? Yeah, no, would you rather save tax on the seed and damn, I forgot the story, and pay a harvest
or the harvest
on the harvest, right? Or would you rather not save tax on the seed and get your harvest tax free? I just butchered that because but most people, if given that choice, would rather pay tax on the seed, the money you're putting in, and receive your harvest, which is going to be bigger, right? You look at think of a field of corn. You're going to take a bushel of corn and turn it into a field of corn, and oh, by the way, at an unknown tax rate. I'll let you how with an entity that's broke, that will probably need more money in the future than not. And
Curtis, here we are in 2023, and there's some crazy stuff going on. There's nothing. There is a tax rate increase coming. And when we talk about postponing taxes, we're postponing it to a rate in the future. And I asked that question to business: do you think taxes are going to go up or go down? Nobody ever says they're going down. We are historically in some of the lowest tax rates ever. And so, why would we, when we know we have options,
right?
Why would we postpone that to a higher rate that causes more collateral damage? Just this year, they've been monkeying with, I say monkey, they've been changing the required minimum distribution. Forever and ever, it was, you had to begin them, your RMDs by April the 1st after you turned 70 and a half.
Right.
Why was that such a confusing issue? I don't know. But then they said, well, let's take and move that to 72. Right. They did that during COVID. Well, now they've moved it to 75. So what have they done? The IRS is positioning that as they're doing you a favor.
Right.
Well, when I started doing tax planning back in the late 90s, we were working on the threshold IRAs over a beneficiary's lifetime. Well, that's fine. We can defer this RMD to 75 if my beneficiary has time to take it out over their lifetime. Well, they changed that in 2020 also. So now a beneficiary on those qualified plans, IRAs, 401ks, SEPs, anything that you've taken a pre-tax deduction for, all that money has to come out during these 2 dates.
Wow.
And so if you're waiting until 75 and your normal life expectancy is, say, 85, and now the beneficiary has 10 years to take that out, required to take that out over a 10-year period, you've done nothing but compress the amount of time that you could take it out, which means that what? You're taking more out, which means more out,
right?
And more tax.
And your tax bracket is higher, right? So because your income is higher, so your income is not going to be lower, because people think retirement is static, right?
Yeah.
But we'll ask, I know we both say this question is like, well, what did gas cost when you graduated high school? You can say, what did gas cost 2 years ago, right? Or what did eggs cost, right? So it's not like you got this static thing, and then if you retire, well, how much does life cost is every day a Saturday? You know what I mean? Where you're not doing anything. It's you're spending money, or you got health costs, and you need money. And so nobody ever, I call it, Brent, nobody ever teach people about how to even us, right? Or me, how to, it's like going up the mountain, accumulation, but nobody ever talks to people about going down the mountain, which is where most mountain climbers die, right?
I think that's the value of what we're doing with ThirdBox and the work
Mm-hmm.
that you do is we're bringing that to the forefront. We're bringing those ideas, we're bringing that virtual simulation right there in front of you so that you get the rest of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the story is where the transfer of wealth occurs.
Right. Right.
And when you transfer a dollar away from you, from your balance sheet to someone else's balance sheet, whether it be the IRS or interest paid or whatever, there's a number of different balance sheets that you're going to transfer, but it's not yours.
Right.
And you lose that dollar. And you lose that dollar generationally. And so it's not just a matter of, I'm taking a deduction today for $10,000, but in the future, I'm going to transfer millions away. And when we build in that lost opportunity cost on those dollars, it really quickly adds up into the return. So I'm just excited to be on your podcast, man. I could talk all day about this.
I know. Me
And,
too. I'm
but
trying not to
just
say that much because I just want you to talk, right?
yeah, it's just the passion that we have because we love to help business owners find the money, and it's just the most rewarding experience because it's theirs,
right?
And they never built their business to transfer it to somebody else, but they wind up doing that.
It's funny, y'all are teaching a class on this, so we're going to learn this and work together on some of this stuff. And which I'm excited about learning, because you always got it, guys, in your business. You have to, what I call, this is me being an old basketball player, you always have to work on your game. What what can you get better at? And you can't stay static in business because you only coast downhill. So what are you doing to get better at servicing, providing more service to the people that you're serving? Right.
Well, Curtis, you and I are very, very fortunate. We've had a phenomenal teacher.
Yeah.
We've had one of the greatest thinkers in America, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To coach us along and to help us see this, because most advisors in our industry are literally focused on building their business, and truly it's based on price or product. I've got a better service, I've got a better price, I've got a better product, I'm a better advisor, and nobody really focuses on the transfer.
All of which is subjective, because you can't, last time I checked, nobody has a working crystal ball. So if you're like, how you better advisor? You don't manage the money.
Yeah.
You got lucky, right?
Yeah.
And so that's hilarious. So tell them how to follow what you're doing, how, getting more information about, ThirdBox and
well, Matt and I both work remotely. That's the great thing that the last couple of years have taught us, is how to work remotely. I can be here in my office in Montana and work with clients all over the country. I work with clients in Pennsylvania, and so that's the neat part about what we're doing is this virtual lab. We do this over a Zoom call,
right?
And I really do like that model a lot. And so Matt and I both are technically, we're working all over the country at this moment. And so we're not limited anymore geographically.
Right.
And so we're at thirdboxadvisors.com is our website. And you can reach me at, we both Matt at thirdboxadvisor.com, Brent at thirdboxadvisors.com. We also have, Matt's got a really neat dental practice where he works with dentists all over the country. And that's a huge specialty. The good news is that all that information that we've got that we've garnered for business owners is transferable across industries. There's they're common issues. So we're not, just because he's got a specialty in the dentist marketplace doesn't mean that those same issues don't translate over to a guy that's got a manufacturing,
right,
successful fiber optic business or whatever. It doesn't really matter, because the principles of business are the same.
Right. Business is business. And
and there's we'll find we'll just see if we can help you find the money that you're losing unknowingly, and then bring it back.
Okay. You got any final words of wisdom for our listeners before I let you go?
Well, I think business owners and entrepreneurs are the backbone of our country. And I think the time is now for them to take control of their business.
Yeah.
I mean, and really get a handle where the money is and where it's going. Right. And we're not going to go in and, say, hey, you can't go to lunch 5 times a week if you want. That's not the real transfer.
Right.
The real transfers are probably embedded into the way you've kind of got everything set up.
Right.
I love business owners, and most of them they never really got in business to transfer it to the next generation. But as the kids come into the business and they start, that becomes a passion. I want to give this legacy to somebody else. And if you don't do that properly, and you wind up spending millions of dollars because you didn't have your documentation intact, right, that's a transfer of wealth, is it not?
Yep.
And so get your financial house in order. We work with legal teams, we work with tax teams all around the country. And that, to me, is one of the things that business owners, they fumble the ball on the 2-yard line. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They've driven the whole field, and now they get to the end of the game and they go, okay, I want them to have it. I want them to continue. Well, maybe they're not equipped to have it. Right. And so all that you've created all these years, this passion, this specialty, sometimes it's transferable, and sometimes it winds up being the lawyers get it all. Right. And that's still a transfer of wealth. So if you thought it was worth $5 million and they only get $2 million out of it, it's a $3 million transfer. Somehow it went somewhere. And so my final parting words of wisdom, I guess, would be just get your financial house in order.
I love it. I'm gonna leave it at that. You don't build all this stuff to give it away or let the government get it all. So, we call it leaving it a legacy of, people say wealth and wisdom. I say wisdom and wealth. Okay. So that, because you can leave the money and then a fool and their money is soon parted, right? So you got to leave the instructions. You got to be
very, it's a high percentage, isn't it?
Yes. Very high. Don't get me started, because I'm just thinking of 5 examples, right? They're rolling through my mind right now. Exactly. People that got $500,000, $800,000 for death benefits, and 3 years later they're broke. And so if you don't leave instructions on how to do it, because if you haven't taught them along the way, you don't leave instructions, or businesses, or even with the IRA thing, I'm off on another riff, but even with the qualified plan thing, the government is planning on, when your kids get the money after your spouse passed away, they're not going to stretch it out. They're going to take it all, and they're going to pay you could lose half of it. I'm probably being generous. It might be like 75% to taxes, of all the money you work for, at least half of it.
If you bundle in there the lost opportunity cost, it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is a conversation that needs to be had, guys. So I'm so glad we could get this conversation started, right? And so you're not going to get all the answers on this, but hopefully we've raised some really good questions to say, there is a third box out there and I don't know anything about it. We talk about the debtor, the saver, and the wealth creator, right? And so we want you to be the wealth creator. Like my first 15 years in financial services, I didn't know anything about box door number 3, the wealth creator.
Yeah, right? yeah.
So right. Guys, you don't know what you don't know, and Curtis is here to help and then get you some answers. All right. So
love it. Curtis, Brent, thanks for your time today, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And guys, go out there and make it a prosperous day, and reach out to us and let us help you.
See you soon, guys.
Recording stopped.
All right, boom. That was good.
Yeah, that was fun.
So I just let it flow, like, yeah, no notes. We just
I thought it did went fine.
yeah, yeah, I do. So tell me about, before you go, so I have another appointment coming up. What is Third Box from a collaboration joint work thing? Like, how do you build that?
Yeah. We built this thing. It started out when Matt and I got together. We met in a crazy story, but we met in a dove hunt together. And I don't know how well you know Matt. Matt's not a hunter.
Okay.
I mean, Matt, I had to borrow a gun to go, and it was funny. We were side by side each other on the field. I mean, and he shot a dove ran into his shot. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
It was a bad day for that because. But anyway, we got there and we kind of. I'm standing over this dove that I had to help him terminate its life, and Matt's not that guy. He's not a hunter. He's an outdoors guy. He's a great skier. He has a lot of fun doing things outside, but he's not a hunter. And I am. Mm-hmm. And so we got a chance to sit and visit that night over the campfire it was like we're finishing each other's sentences. Mm-hmm. I'm like, who's your coach? Well, I'm Circle of Wealth. I'm strategic coach. And so we were talking the same language. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really intrigued about that Mark Guthrie never told us about. Mm-hmm. And there is a button in there that you can push on spending gain to calculate the lost opportunity cost out there. And Matt uses it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know where it is. Mm-hmm. And so we started talking, and next thing you know, I said, we ought to build a business around this. He's got his business, I've got my business. Mm-hmm. And then I said, you know what? I've got a firm that can put us in front of a bunch of reps, a bunch of agents. And so that we made one presentation and we got the deal. Hmm. And so they started putting us in front of reps. We wrote, I don't know, $500,000-$600,000 of premium last year with those guys. And so then I made a couple more calls and said, hey, here's what we're doing. We're working with reps, joint work, mm-hmm. and we'll put people in front of you. And so then Matt and I last year had over, $3.5 million of premium written between us. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys really do know how to do this. And so now it's just blossomed into this kind of network of advisors that are coming to us from all over the country. That is just falling into a business.
That's interesting. Because I have been battling just between, do I want to build an agency?
Right.
And then when I heard you, I was like, because I really don't. I understand the security and like like when we were talking, remember that meeting where we had me, you and Eric, right? This is when COVID just jumped off. And I was like, oh my God, am I going to be out of business? And you said you wrote this big case. I was like, oh, that freed me up. But around the same time,
yeah,
I was in North Carolina in a hotel room. My wife had a ruptured appendix. So I was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I had to fly down there and stay down there with her for 10 days. And I was like, I'm out of business, because all of my production is coming from me. Maybe I should build an agency. Maybe I should build a team. Yeah. But that's like herding cats. Like, I don't know if I had a patience for that.
Well, and I think that's a great way to put that. And mm-hmm. In order to build a business with qualified reps, mm-hmm. you have to you can't be working with the guy who's making $70,000 a year. Mm-hmm. That can't be your marketplace, because you've got to bring value to that relationship that is huge.
Right.
And so I think we just kind of started out working with Medicare reps, and when they'd find somebody with big IRAs that they needed to move out, that's good and fine. It's tough. Mm-hmm. It's because you got $1 million in IRA money, and you got to move it out over a 10-year period. Well, underwriters are going to go, well, I don't know about that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because they don't have enough liquid net worth there or something, that they got access to capital. And so I think the business owner marketplace for us is just huge.
Yeah,
And
I prefer that.
because
I'm a third
it's
generation
fun.
business owner, right? We
Yeah.
get how they think.
Yeah.
We both base our living on commission, and it's just a better conversation. Because even a lot of people that are doing, if they're working like with a dear life, whatever, they still have the base pay or something a lot of times. So they're still not working 100% without a net. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, so I get that. I like that. I the business model that intrigues me. So just knowing it. So I have already signed up. I think I've signed up for the course that y'all are teaching also. So, and because I don't know how to use spending game. I've never
It
really
is powerful.
I know it's powerful. It's just I am detail oriented, but only about certain things, right? But I do like proving my point. I like to know, like, if I can. I'm dangerous if I know that I know that I know, then I'm super aggressive because I know I'm not wrong about anything, and I like proving it. So I like the way I had to watch. I've matched that talk you and Matt, and then you came on to the end. I think I've watched that 3 times.
No kidding.
And I've read the books 3 times. And so I'm like,
good.
All right, I know most of it. I know, like, just from the building the dental practice. I have another part of our business. I'm kind of working on now called customer life cycle marketing, and I have something called hidden marketing assets. So I've been trained in this J. Abraham type business development process that I've used to actually, grow my business to top the table. And I was like, I could do a separate business, because you get more flies with honey, where I just talk about business development and, but there's 2 ways to grow, right? There's 4 ways to grow revenue. And the other side of that is let's find money you're losing unnecessarily. And I had been thinking about how to combine those 2 things. And then when I read the book, I was like, there it is. I could do that.
It is.
And because I've been thinking about how to do it for like 10 years. I was like, all right, well, because I didn't want to be a marketing consultant because it's just too much work and they wouldn't want to pay me enough to do it. But I could do some of that in either group coaching and then have it be legal.
Well, that's kind of what Matt and I are. I mean, that's why we've had, I think, so much success with ThirdBox already. Is that advisors? There's 2 ways to learn. One is to go learn it yourself.
Yeah.
Or learn it while you're getting paid with somebody else to walk you through that process. And so that's exactly what we're doing, is working with reps all around the country, and we work off a 70-30 split. Matt gets 35, I get 35, and the advisor gets 30. Okay. And so we're doing all the finding the money, we're doing all the heavy lifting, we're doing all the underwriting, we're doing everything start to finish, and the reps really don't have to do anything. We had a guy last year that dropped us into a welding shop in Nashville, and I mean, he literally just made a call and said, "You need to talk to these guys," and we paid him almost $400,000. Wow! So I mean, and he didn't do anything. I don't even know he knows where the money is. Right. He was completely absent.
Do you pay them out of the ThirdBox?
Yeah, we split that on apps.
Right. On the apps, but because they don't have to work with your companies, you just pay them out of the ThirdBox checkbook.
I mean, most of the time we just, because you won't get credit on, because here's the deal. Mm-hmm. I've got companies that are putting us in front of reps now, they're reps. Mm-hmm. When we go to do business, it's going to that company. Okay, so you either get appointed or if it's Middle National, it's going to Middle National business.
Oh.
If it's Penn Mutual brings us a case, it's going to be a Penn Mutual case.
I see. Do you get appointed with those carriers, or are they just
absolutely?
Oh,
absolutely.
Okay. I see. I can understand now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. That's
so
good.
if you say, "Hey, Brent, I got this guy that we need to work with," you're not a company, so we can work with whoever we want to company wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're a captive emeritus agent, or Mass Mutual agent, guess what? We're going to use Mass. We're going to use whatever.
Right.
Because, but most of our business is coming from other regionals or other FMOs that are bringing reps.
So you're teaching this to them, and then, oh, okay, so they love it because it grows their book.
They got to do nothing to make more money.
Wow, that's brilliant. Okay, all right, I like that. I hadn't
They're
really
still
thought
stupid about it.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes you like I had somebody want me to say, oh, you should train agents. I was like, I don't want to train because they're not going to do it right.
No,
You're going to teach a bunch of people to go out there and do it half-assed, and I don't want to do that.
And they're going to get half-assed pay.
Yeah.
So if you want to, we don't do anything systems. We just find that much.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna send y'all a couple because I don't.
Let's work on them together.
Do that. Yeah, let's work on it. So, all right, brother.
Together, so.
Yeah. So.
See you, buddy.